Everyone, this is Eric with Project EKP, and I'm sure a lot of you guys have the same issue as me, is where the electrical housing support is broken. So normally it's supposed to be a tab right here, and I'll show you my other car. You can see my other car, the tab is still intact, but that's how it's supposed to look, as you can see. But unfortunately on this car, it's completely broken, which results in the harness sagging, it moves around, vibrates, which is not really good for the cables because it does fatigue the wires. Also, this is kind of meant to support it and fasten it, since the next fastening points are up in the front and back here, so an intermediate fastening point is required. But unfortunately all it breaks, and you can see the tab's completely gone. So I went ahead and designed a support bracket that essentially kind of replaces that tab and kind of cradles the remaining part of the housing. So in order for this to work, you need to break off the remainder of the tab. As you can see, mine was already gone, so that work was done for me. But go ahead and you just slide this bracket so that it literally cradles the housing, and then you bolt it down. All right, went ahead and tightened the fastener just to show what that looks like, and there you go. You can see essentially it's nicely cradled and supported. It's not sagging anymore. It's at the right height now, and it's really secure, which is nice. This is a really strong bracket, so it has no problems. Now, you could just leave this as is, but me personally, what I'm gonna do is I wanna essentially replace the tab. So I'm gonna actually bond the bracket to the plastic housing, and I'm gonna show you how to do that now. So a couple of the things you'll need to do that is the following. So some isopropyl alcohol, this is just to clean the surfaces. You'll need some 2-part epoxy. This is a plastic bonder. The reason why I'm using the plastic bonder variant from JB Weld is because I am bonding to plastic, and this stuff does a good job bonding to plastic from experience. A Sharpie, and 80 or 150 grit sandpaper. This is just what I have on hand, so this is 150. So what I'm gonna do first is, since I already have the bracket installed, I'm gonna go ahead and mark roughly where the bracket sits on the housing with my Sharpie, right here and right here. Okay, and this will tell me where to prepare on this, because we don't need to prepare the whole thing, just the little region that it touches. One thing I also looked into, just a side note, is I looked into 3D printing this piece, but it's connected completely all the way to the front, and it's a major pain in the butt to replace just this piece. So that's kind of why I designed this. So anyway, let's keep going. Alrighty, so here we took the bracket off, and one thing we need to do is prepare these surfaces. So first things first, you want to go ahead and clean this surface and this surface here. You don't want it to touch this surface because there's a little clamp that you want to keep space away from this surface. So this surface and this surface are the ones we'll be preparing, and you'll see that in the instruction sheet. So first things first is we'll go ahead and clean the bracket. Okay. And I went ahead and cleaned the plastic part already. And so that's already prepped. Make sure you clean the plastic housing as well, okay? So next thing you want to do is do the sanding process. So go ahead and take your sandpaper, and we're just going to scuff up the aluminum right here. The reason why we want to do this is because this finish is pretty glossy, so we want to create some bite in the epoxy. That's just going to get a better bond. It's just going to last longer, especially through the heat cycling of this part and the epoxy itself. Different expansion rates and things like that, you know, does put a little bit of load on this, so we want to just get a nice keyed surface to help that good bond. All right, so I got this all scuffed up, as you can see here. That glossy finish is now gone, and I'm now going to do the same thing to the bracket here. But what I'm going to do is, I don't know if you can see it, but I have my 2 Sharpie marks right here. So I'm going to go ahead and just sand underneath here, and just a little bit right here. So I'm going to do that right now off camera. Alrighty, so I went ahead and mixed the epoxy. So we don't need a lot for this application, just a very little bit. So I'm going to put just a very slim amount here using a popsicle stick, just like that. We don't want too much, it's unnecessary, but maybe I put a little too much, but you don't need a lot. Okay, so just like that. And here we are, teleported to the car, and all we do is just carefully place this underneath where you made your marks. like that. And while holding the bracket onto the housing, just go ahead and take your fastener and thread that in. Just like that. There you go. And then I'm going to take my 5mm Allen key right here and just finish that up. Just make sure everything's positioned the way I want it and torque them up. There we go. So I'm going to go ahead and let that set. If we look closely here, we could see that, get the camera in position, that this is butted up against the side of the housing right here. This surface is butted up against this, but on the top I do have a gap here. That's because if you ever want to service this harness right here, you'll be able to undo that latch and open this thing up. So you want to make sure there's a gap here. That's kind of why I like to epoxy this, because it's just going to bond the housing and kind of recreate that tab that's missing. So yeah, hopefully that helps. I'm going to go ahead and let that cure. It should take about 15 minutes for it to set and 45 minutes for it to fully cure. But if it sets in the like 15-20 minutes and then you start driving, it's going to cure extremely fast because of the heat from the engine. So there's that for you. This thing will be curing nicely. So anyway, thanks for watching, and I really appreciate it, and that's the end of the video. One thing I want to mention too is the weather is really bad today. It is the fires over in Pacific Palisades, I believe it's called. You can see the smoke over there. Yeah, prayers to all those people. A lot of them, unfortunately, a lot of my coworkers had family members and close friends whose houses were burned down, and the weather here is terrible. As you can see, I'm having a hard time breathing. Actually, I've been feeling like crap all day just because from all the ash. So yeah, but I wanted to get this video out to you guys because you know, I'm really busy coming up here, so I appreciate you guys watching and your interest in this product. So have a nice day. Thanks. Bye.